Hello everyone. In this video, it is really a continuation of the last video that we did where we set up the local environment to do Azure Machine Learning. And once we have the local environment set up and we have a workspace in the Azure where we can do some work, this is the second part of our exercise where we're gonna run a Hello World Python script. And in this tutorial, I want to follow the official Microsoft documentation as closely as possible. And there are a few things that we're going to do. We're going to create and run the Hello Python script in our local environment. We'll create a control script in Python and we'll submit this Hello World program, and that will run this program in our Azure Machine Learning in the cloud. And then we'll kind of look into the concepts behind the control script, and we just gonna look at the code output in the cloud as well. So prerequisite, complete the part one. That means look at the previous video that I have done and set up your environment completely before you do this one. So in this one, we're gonna start with creating a subdirectory in the directory structure that we're working on. So here the tutorial is the top level directory, ls/lah. So that is giving you the directories that we have created so far. We have a .azure ML directory, ML directory, and then we have created two different Python files in there. All right, so Control D and just see, and I'm just gonna clear this. I can have some nice space. Okay, so here what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a directory, okay, dir/src. That's my source directory, right? And under the source directory, we're gonna create a program hello.py. So let's just copy this name, and let's see, I have the code or Microsoft Visual Studio Code open, and inside my source, and I want to create a file. So that's the name of the file that I want to create, okay, under source. And the code that I want to put in here is very simple, as just it's gonna print hello world. So that's all we need. So my project directory should look like this. So in here, let's see if it supports the tree command in here. It's not supported, but that's fine. ls-lah. So if you do this, you know that you have these folders in there, and if you look at ls and then -lah/src, that folder has the hello.py. So you know that this folder structure matches. Now to test my script locally, all I need to do is run the Python code just like that, okay, from the top level directory. So I'm still here in our tutorial, so here I can run this code just like that, okay, Python, and it's going to go inside the source and then look for the hello.py, and it will run it. So if you run it, if you see it's printing the hello world, so I know that my local environment is working just fine. Okay, so click on this one. I ran this properly, and then here is the section where we're going to create a control script. Now again, as I said, control script, it lets you run your program that you're writing locally in the cloud. You can use this script to control how and where your machine learning code is run. So to do this, I'm going to follow the guide that I have here, and we're going to create a file, run hello.py file in my tutorial directory. So I'm going to go back to the top level again, add and paste and create a blank file, and get the code from here and paste it right there. So again, it's going to use the Azure core Azure ML.core module, and it's going to import workspace, experiment, environment, and script run config. Again, to instantiate a workspace, we're going to run workspace.config And so basically we already have the config file in the config.json file. It's going to read and create and get the workspace, initialize that one. Then we're going to create an experiment, and the experiment we're going to provide the workspace name, and we're going to provide a name for that experiment. Then we're going to store the config, and script run config. We're going to source directory. This is the source directory, and this is the hello py, and compute target is the CPU cluster. So this is what we have created already. Okay, so this is the workspace that we have created. In that workspace we have created a CPU cluster. Now just to show you what we're talking about, so if you come to our Azure Machine Learning workspace, you see I have, if I go to the compute cluster, this is the CPU cluster that we have already created. Okay, so we want to be able to run our script, the Python script that I'm just doing inside this particular environment and not in my local environment. All right, so let's go back. So then we're going to just run this, and we'll say run experiment.submit, and then config. This config we're going to submit, and then a couple more lines of code, and it should be running in our machine learning CPU cluster. Okay, so let's come back over here. And again, they have a little bit of understanding guidance for understanding the code. WS is the workspace. This one connects to your Azure Machine Learning workspace so that you can communicate with the machine learning resources. Experiment provides a simple way to recognize multiple runs under a single name. Config wraps the hello.py code and passes it to your workspace. Then run submits the script. The submission is called a run. A run encapsulates a single execution of your code. AML URL, the run object provides a handle on the execution of your code. And the run.get portal URL monitors its progress from the Azure Machine Learning Studio with the URL that printed from Azure Python script. Okay, so next just created the control script. Okay, now once this is ready, all we need to do is run this particular script. Okay, so if I now copy this one, come back to my terminal, all I need to do is paste and then hit enter. Oh, if it's too fast, sometimes I feel like it just didn't run. So let's come back over here. First of all, make sure that this file has been saved. So it looks like it did not, so I'm just gonna save it first. Control S, come back over here and rerun it again, and see now it is running. So previously, since I didn't save it, it seems like it was like blank. This couldn't read anything and nothing happened. Now it's now printed the big long URL. So I'm already logged in, and this window that I'm working on, it already went through the authentication. If you're doing it for the first time or after a long time, it may go through another authentication process. All right, but this code is now ran successfully. So come over here, and you can now click on I submitted the code in the cloud. So since we have submit the code successfully in the cloud, we can monitor the code in the cloud by using the studio. The output from your script will contain a link. Follow the link. At first you will see the status of preparing. So if we go back over here, and let me see if I can copy this one and just copy this link, and let's open up another tab and control V, and let's see what is it saying. So here's the experiments that we have got, and if you look at the status, it says the status is preparing. So we were able to submit the code from our local environment to this particular compute cluster, and we created one experiment. Okay, and the status of that experiment is the preparing state. Okay, let's come back over here, come back right there, and then the following link. At first you prepare the very first run may take 5 to 10 minutes to complete. So what is going on at the moment is going to create a Docker image in the cloud. Then the computer cluster is resized from 0 to 1 node. You need at least one node to run your code. The Docker image is downloaded to the compute. Okay, those three things needs to happen. And subsequent runs, when you do it, will take much less because these things are already done, so you don't need to create a new Docker image or anything like that. What we're gonna do, we're gonna wait for the job to be done and then quickly take a look at the outputs and the logs tabs, and uh, we'll see that 70 drive a log.txt file, and that will look something like that. So let's just wait for just a couple minutes and then we'll go from there. Let me just go to the cluster again. Where is the cluster? The run is here, so it's still in a preparing state. I'm just gonna refresh that one more time, just make sure that it's still showing the same thing. Okay, that is fine. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna pause the video and be back in 5 minutes. All right, it's been a few minutes, so if I come back over here and refresh this page, you will see that the status of my job is now in a running state. Once this job is done, what we can do, we can go to this output logs file, and that one should have the output of our job that we have run. And as it's a simple program that we wrote, and it wrote in this environment, and it just printed out hello world. So let's go back and see what else we need to do. So here all they're saying in the subsequent run, if we run it again, it should go much faster. And here the output should look like this. Again, we have already verified, and this is the one string that got output. On line 8 you see the hello world output, so we already saw the log in our studio. So here I'm gonna do saw the log in my studio. So the next step, now we have verified that my local environment is working fine. We can run my code from the local environment. It will run to my cloud instance, a cloud environment, cloud workspace, using the control code. Now we are ready to train a model. So in the next tutorial, this is what we're gonna do. All those steps we're gonna cover in the next one. So if you like the video, give me a like, and happy learning ML, and let's meet in the next video to do the next steps. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.